Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market. This is our daily show from Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. BST, every day of the week, where we discuss all things to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to make some and or a lot of money on the internet. I'm your host, B-Check. I'm joined by my legendary co-hosts, Legendary and Sammy, and we are going to get into everything from the NFT market and crypto markets in just a little bit. But before we do that, as always, just a reminder that nothing that we say here is financial advice. This market is incredibly risky. We do not know anything for sure. So please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Legendary, it is Tuesday. It is the 28th of May. You had a little day off yesterday doing a little bit of adventuring in the real world. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
GM from Lisbon. Feel well rested. I did have an early start to my day yesterday, getting up at 4:20 a.m. in old Degen fashion to catch a very early flight to Lisbon. But I'm doing quite well. Also had a fun adventure at dinner yesterday. Uh,
Well,
teased it a bit pre-show.
yeah. So you're in Lisbon. You we thought you were taking a break from the degen activity, and yet you go to dinner. And what's going on there?
You go to dinner, and the utter degeneracy of going to dinner with ex-poker players or ex-poker pros is that the way the bill is settled is the good old-fashioned credit card roulette. And Zamiria and me, we played in an elimination mode. So what it means is 7 people at dinner, everyone is throwing their credit cards into the middle. The waitress gets instructed as to what is to go down. She has to pick card by card, 6 cards, and the remaining card picks up the bill and pays for everyone. So Zamir and me throw our American Express into the middle, and the waitress picks the first card, gives it back to the owner. Then she picks off both the American Express cards, saying, "We don't accept." We don't
Oh,
accept American Express. There you go. And we're like, fuck, that was an easy way out of the situation. That was quite lucky. So I think I did it.
that is a great
There was no
option.
strategy. There was no strategy behind it. I wasn't thinking about the fact, which I obviously know, that American Express isn't accepted in a lot of places in Europe. But that's now my EV plus strategy if I ever play credit card roulette outside of the United States, to just go with the American Express and gamble on it not being accepted.
That is a great bet to make, because for some reason, despite all of us having an American Express card, loads and loads of places don't take it. I don't know why. I don't know the politics. I don't know the ins and outs of the financial systems for the reason, but you're right. So few places here take it, or they always say there's some type of issue with it. So that is a great bet. So who ended up paying with the card? Is this like a normal poker dinner behavior thing? Have you done this before?
No, I haven't done it before. For me, it was my first credit card roulette, but apparently it's a pretty common way to settle bills for poker players. And it's often also done with side bets. So typically what you can also do is, before you see the bill, someone sets the over. So you before you basically see the bill, you do the credit card roulette, and the loser, like the one who has to pay the bill, he's the one to set the number. Say the bill's going to be, his guess is $1,500, and taking over under bets on that as well. So you can also like side bet over under on the bill, and even make more money than you basically have to pay, or lose even more.
I don't know if I could do this, man. Like, we're doing all the numbers, we're running the numbers, placing bets all day, and then you go for dinner. Do you not just want to be able to chill out? I don't know. That's
The degeneracy always catches you at those conferences. I remember 2 years ago, just very, very quick side note, I went to Minneapolis for the first VCon, and they had a quarter machine there. But instead of, like, throwing a quarter in there and getting whatever price, you had to send the quarter of an ETH to that wallet. And ETH was doing quite well back then to receive a random NFT or nothing. And people were lining up for that shit, including myself. And like, in hindsight, that was, I don't know. I'm not surprised that this thing was successful there, but it was such a degen behavior to do in real life, right?
mm, absolutely. That is pretty crazy. That's a fun story to have. Looking forward to some more Lisbon stories. You've got a few more days there, I think. Sammy, have you heard of this? What the hell is going on? How do you split dinner when you go out for dinner?
I'm more of a Dutch, split it evenly. I think I have heard of a roulette, but I don't know, just seeing the dollars or like the pounds or euros on the thing, it just looks so much worse than doing stuff in ETH. So I think for me personally, it just gives me anxiety thinking about it. Actually, I've got serious FOMO about Lisbon, because this is actually the first place that Legendary and I met a year ago in person.
First place, me and Legendary met as well 2 years ago.
Oh.
Lisbon is a special place for the modern market in our hearts, always. Okay, let's get into it, guys. Enough of the soppy, emotional stories. We're going to get into everything to the NFT and crypto market. Obviously, big headlines today. We're going to be talking about Luca Nets, Pudgy Penguins, and the $100,000 bet, which Kalano, who we also have on stage, started off by claiming that we will not see 100K NFT. So we've got Kalano with us today. Can't wait to chat with him. Kalano, just so you know, I just sent you a video link as well if you want to jump on screen with us today. I don't know if you're able to or not, but that's an invitation if you'd like it. And then we've got the other headlines, all this celebrity stuff going on. Is this going to be a new trend? I want to reflect on that a little bit. Seems a bit trashy, to be honest, but at the same time, I don't know if this keeps happening. Is there an opportunity there? Is it something to fade? We want to talk about that a little bit. And then we'll get into our first official segment on the show. We're going to be doing a little blast segment. Legendary is going to be leading that for a quick rundown with some pretty interesting strategies that he's going to share in just a little bit too. So that's what we've got planned for today's show. But let's get into the headline first. As always, coming from the snapshot, which is pinned up top. If you do find it brings you some value today, please do give it a like. Let's get into it. Starting with the price action. We've got crypto fairly flat, actually. Bitcoin at 68.1, ETH at 3.9K, Solana at $167. First headline, as I said, Luca Nets proposes a bet that Pudgy Penguins will go to at least 100K within the next 12 months. Number two, celebrity wave on Solana continues with Iggy Azalea tweeting, "Who's Solana?" Really interesting to see. Obviously, we had the Caitlyn Jenner stuff a couple of days ago or yesterday, or I don't know when it was, just a real mess of celebrities seeming to want to clamor into the crypto markets at the moment, wondering where that kind of places us in the cycle. Want to talk about that in a bit. Getting into some more price action, we've got CryptoPunks at 33.5 ETH, down a couple of percent. Bored Apes at 11.7, down a few percent. Mutant Apes at 2. DGods at 1.2. Captains at 3.2. Azuki's at 4.4. Penguins still holding strong above 10 at 10.2. Mad Lads at 73 Sol, and the Nouns winning bid was at 5.2 ETH. Just a quick update from Ordinals. I wrote a tweet earlier. People might not be on people's radars because people are speaking about it a lot less now. But Bitcoin puppets are down to 0.1 Bitcoin, and monkeys are 0.12 Bitcoin, and node monks are approaching 0.2. So real decline there on the ordinal side of things, just to get you up to speed there as well. And some notable sales. We've got a Bored Ape Black Hat selling for 16.47 and an Alien Milady selling for 18.49. Milady is still one of the only ETH collections that are like going up, if anything, compared to the rest of the market. But that's the price action. Those are the headlines. Legendary. Before we get into the main discussion, before we get into the main headlines and the blast segment, what's catching your attention in the market?
Absolutely, yeah. If I take a look at the Mintify heat map, and I assume it's something you touched on yesterday, but it's definitely the one that stands out most to me is Pixelmon with the Gen 1s as well as the trainers. Both collections being down between 30 and 40% because of the TGE that happened yesterday. Obviously, there was a correction in the market going on, and it kind of connects that to the point that I was making last week to see how that comparison between discount on the implied tokens that are vested within the Pixelmon versus that discount with captains, and how that will play out for Mochaverse as the third collection that will work in a similar way like that.
Okay, just because you're here with us today, then Legendary, like, what was your take? We saw some mixed takes on the timeline yesterday on Pixelmon's TG. Some people, some big investors saying like, look, this is good. It's 500 mil FDV. Like, that's fairly healthy. It's certainly not small. My position was that, look, this is good. Maybe some people's expectations had run away with them. But then also loads of people were like, well, this is not getting our money back. This was a long time to hold the particular NFTs, to not, I don't know, make more, as is maybe a standard criticism from NFT holders. What was your kind of assessment of the situation now you've had 24 hours to reflect?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I am quite a large holder, plus have invested, so just take that bias with it.
Sure.
Personally, we've seen Whales Market for a long time placing it at more than a billion FTV at 1.2 billion, but we've seen also an interesting behavior in Whales Market, which is that price significantly corrected in the 2-3 days leading up to the TGE, and even went as low as 33 cents on Whales Market, implying a 330 mil FTV, which was way more realistic, and which is also where the token kind of started around. It came out like at 30 cents for the first couple of candles, and then did shoot up to 55, 56 cents, and now is settled at 42 cents, so like at 420 mil-ish FTV. I think the timeline, if you look a bit more deeper into the conversation, was like pretty supportive of the FTV and saying this is a good launch. This is pretty fair. The only criticism that I've saw that has been brought up a couple of times, and which I find a very valid point, is for the people who played the Pixel Pals game.
Yeah.
500k active wallets playing that game, 5 million mon distributed between all of those players. Some people played daily and earned like maybe 100, maybe $200. Counterpoint to that was someone else doing the math on it and saying, look, if you played this daily, you basically earned around 50 cents per minute, which roughly equates $30 per hour, which is obviously not the best airdrop that you've ever farmed in your life, but it's also not a highway robbery. It's a side hustle, if you want to call it that. But I do think if there was an expectation mismatch, then it was with Pixel Pals and like the play to earn campaign there. But generally, the FTV and the TG per se, in my opinion, was well received, especially also among like the larger whales who have 7 to 8 figure mon bags, not in US dollar value, but in the amount of mon tokens that they hold.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I agree with you that it seems to be the case, or seems to be a trend, that any person like participating on the social side of this farming stuff, or whether it's like playing the game, like they seem to be the people taken care of least, because the people who've invested more capital are the ones who get taken care of first. I think that's probably a fair statement to make at this point. But yeah, you're right. We did touch on that yesterday as well. Just interesting to hear your perspective as a significant kind of holder and investor as well. Sammy, what's catching your attention, my man?
Well, I mean, it's a sea of red. I think the Miladies and the Remelios are kind of countering that a little bit. I do think that the Gods 7% drop, I think it is, or 7 or 8% drop. That interests me just because it's a multi-chain collection. And if you look at the Solana price on Tensor, I think it's around about the 29 sol mark, which is about 4.9k, and these are selling at 4.6. So if you were to be quite shrewd, I don't know whether there's additional costs with royalties that are mandated on Solana versus here, but there could be some sort of arbitrage trade there, and that's quite interesting. So that gap could likely get closed, or it could dump on the Solana side.
Yes, interesting point. It's probably one to monitor, right? Because some people who are on ETH are just thinking in ETH, and equally people on Solana are just thinking in Solana. So I wonder whether people literally do go back and forth between the two to check that the prices are in line. That's a good point.
I think it's and I do wonder whether they're bridging back to Solana, because the Solana NFT ecosystem's been down only for a little bit of time now. So I do wonder whether that's kind of dragging that specific collection down a little bit because of that, or whether there will be a point at which it kind of holds up in value on Solana because you have the ETH counterpart. But yeah, it's just an interesting dynamic, just an observation.
Yeah, interesting point. Definitely initially the move across was received positively, I think, in the end. And then obviously like most pumps at the moment, they kind of get sold into when people realize they can get much more than what the price previously was. I want to welcome to the stage a special guest for today. We've got Kalano. Kalano is a good friend of the show, good friend IRL too. He is building the replyguy.xyz. He's helping you create better content. He's also a Spaces host with Unfungible. Welcome to the stage, Kalano. Great to have you with us. You are also the person stoking 6-figure bets on the timeline, which is absolutely great to see. How are you doing, my man? And also, what's kind of catching your attention in the market at the moment?
Yeah, GM, thanks for having me. First of all, the short-term invite is very much appreciated. I'm doing really good, just working as per usual. And I thought this post would catch a little bit of, I guess, controversy, which is always good, because if you don't get haters, you don't get lovers. So that was my thinking behind the post, and it's working exactly as planned. So that is perfect for me. You know, what is catching my attention right now is, to be honest, not much. I'm just farming Blast, trying to catch up on Legendary's bag, and outside of that, I'm not really taking any trades. I'm not really a good trader or like a very frequent trader anyways. So I'm happy to sit on the timeline, build my business, and farm Blast as much as I can.
Makes a lot of sense. One thing that you are very good at is crushing on the content side. So definitely, if you haven't experienced Kalano's content, definitely give him a follow, check it out. Also doing some great interviews on the video side as well. So definitely have a look at that, check out that content. We're going to talk about more of your specific tweet, Kalano, and the Luca bet in just a little bit. But you mentioned farming Blast, and today we're doing a little segment on Blast, which I think we're going to start right here, right now. Legendary, take it over. We want to do a little segment on Blast. What's kind of taking your attention? What's good? What's not? What's hot? What's not? And yeah, let's see what you've got for us.
Yeah, absolutely. The way I structured this is I want to look at 3 protocols, basically divided by risk. Have a low, have a medium, have a bit of more of a high risk play in there. We're gonna have a look at Cambria first, as basically the low risk contestant, for 2 reasons. There was Pac-Man reposting a captain's post on gaming, and basically saying his DMs are open for everyone who wants to move games to Blast. And Sammy also had a post this morning doing the math, what it would actually mean for gold distributions if games will be weighted a bit more heavily, and that this might be a potential strategy to look at from the side of the Blast team, that if you have an active player base of a specific game, this could be a good way of retaining users. And with Cambria specifically, I think it is low risk for a couple of reasons. Basically, you have that Runestone-esque MMO that allows you to duel other players. We're sharing it on the screen right now. Sammy, with his new Wasi, exploring Cambria. So what you can do is you can duel other players. You have 3 modes how you can do it, different weapons. If you choose the axe as a weapon of your choice, it's basically a coin flip. So it is a gamified coin flip out there. And if you do that with lots and lots of people, you're farming your essence points, which are in the top left corner, that red ruby. And those essence points allow you to claim blast tomes. They increase the score that you have in game. And ultimately, that score also translates to the amount of gold that you get. Similarly, on the weekends, you can bet on NPCs fighting, so non-player characters fighting against each other, where you wager arena tokens, which is not an ERC20, but it is an in-game currency. And Sammy right now is going into a little duel with Oxy to kind of showcase that. Love that, since Oxy is also on stage with us. One other update of Cambria that I find really interesting, however, is that it's progressive. That means basically everything that you build up in essence points is not only valid for the upcoming Blast Gold claim, but also for the Blast Gold claims after that. So obviously, if you had an early start, that's a big upside. But given that we have 2 more Blast Gold distributions, and also given that we operate under the hypothesis that there's going to be a Blast Season 2, there's going to be more things to be done in Blast and in other games. I think it is rather on the lower risk of side, on the lower side of risk, and also it's pretty accessible with lower capital. See in the duel right now, which Oxy is clearly leading, that both of them are wagering for 0.001 ETH, which is also the minimum amount that you can wager. Quickly want to see the outcome of that duel before
Kill him, Oxy.
Nice. GG to Oxy. Yeah, that's the first protocol that I picked. That is Cambria.
Nice.
For the second protocol, my choice was Wolfgame. Wolfgame medium risk, solely for the reason that we just don't know the next Blast Gold distribution yet. Many people are speculating that Wolfgame and the team might have cut out of a deal with Blast to migrate and just have a specific or set a goal amount of gold allocated to them, because a lot of people did bridge the wool over. There is a lot of people playing the caves. What are you doing in Wolfgame? You're playing Cave Game, which you're also sharing on screen right now. In Cave Game, you are exploring a cave with your golden sheep. And what you basically want to do there is you want to use the items that Sammy is showcasing right now. You want to use the headlamp, you want to use the metal detector, the goggles, and the golden shovel, because all of those items together allow you to see a couple of fields into the darkness in the cave. And more importantly, they also allow you to see footsteps where other sheep have ventured, because you want to venture into uncharted territory and explore parts of the caves where you don't see those green, orange, or red footsteps, but where you don't see any kind of footsteps because nobody has been there. And if you do so, you have a chance to stumble upon a shiny, which is just a shiny spot where you can dig. And if you dig, you find points. If you have a golden shovel, you find bonus points. You can also find more items like carrots and milk, which give you energy because you're limited to a specific amount of moves that you can make. You can find gems in different rarities, which are also tradable, as far as I know, on Mintify as well. And basically the goal is to be fast to explore a cave. The strategy here is, Sammy also had a fantastic thread on that. If you're new to a cave, venture out in a specific direction, keep going until you basically reach uncharted territory. You can use dynamite, you can use bombs to basically bomb your way through walls and just be faster. And don't try to like zigzag if you start out in the middle of the cave. Just go into one direction until you reach new territory there. Also keep in mind, if you go around the cave, you have coordinates on the X and Y axis, and the cave is 400 by 400. So if you reach obviously 400 on one axis, you have reached like the outer bound of the cave. So just try to not get stuck into a corner. You can see that Sammy in Cave 32 is close to the X border with 337 as the coordinates. But on the Y-axis, he still has a lot to go up and down. But if he basically keeps going to the left, he will reach to the right. He will reach the outer bound of the cave pretty soon. Again, you need a bit of ETH to buy those boxes, which give you the items like carrots and milk, which you need to refuel your energy. And you want to do that because then you can venture further and faster than other people without having to wait for your energy to reload. Nice. And it's medium risk because, yes, you collect points, but we have no idea how those points will convert into gold. And obviously, you also have no idea how much gold Wolfgame will receive at the end of the day. And that's everything I wanted to share on Wolfgame for the
high risk strategy.
For the high risk strategy, I picked Insrt.app. Gambling protocol. Basically, what you can do on Insrt is you can select a specific price that you want to win. You can see a Sappy seal. You can basically mint a ticket, which is a spin for 0.01 ETH. You can go lower or higher and decrease or increase your odds. And you can also see the odds of hitting the jackpot, hitting the Sappy seal, which, for example, Sappy seal has a 1 in a 75 chance to hit it with a 0.01 ETH spin. And you can either claim the Sappy seal or you can claim the ETH equivalent to cash out on that. And what you want to do if you want to go here, you want to have a look at the odds. And for example, when I was gambling for the Pack Moon bundle, for the token bundle, the ETH equivalent that you received was 1.9 ETH. It had a 1 in a 200 chance on a 0.01 spin. You also get mint tokens if you don't hit the price, which you can use for additional spins. So it was a pretty EV neutral move to do that. With other things, I have, for example, I did quite a lot of spinning on the weekend. I did go for 32 PlayStations that I've won, but also for a Remilio. With the redacted Remilio, you had a 1 in 150 chance to hit it with a 0.01 spin. Floor price back then was at 1.75 ETH. So until they updated that price, which they honored for my cash out, it was actually EV positive to spin that. However, why is it high risk? Because there's a lot of variance in that strategy. You either need to go with big spins. You could do 1 ETH spins on that and basically almost land in a coin flip situation where you have like more than 10% edge to win that. If you do it with low spins, you could easily burn to 5-6 ETH of capital and not win anything. So definitely high risk. Insrt in the last gold distribution has received 400k gold. I personally have received 700-ish gold, and with the spinning that I did over the weekend on those collections, I assume to get a couple thousand gold more. Word of caveat with that, again, you've seen the PlayStation wins and everything on my account real quick. Those odds have been nerfed. They have adjusted for the pump in ETH price. So currently, I would say be aware that that the house has a good edge on that, despite the mint tokens. But definitely have a look at the odds, have a look at the ETH prices that you can cash out. And sometimes you run in that freaky situation, as it was the case with the Remilio, where you actually see an EV positive gamble. Because again, 1 in a 150 chance with a 0.01 spin to win a 1.75 ETH price is EV positive, even before the mint tokens, even before the gold that you get. But again, you can burn through a lot of ETH there if you just get unlucky. So that's definitely a high risk strategy to follow.
Absolutely love it, man. That's an awesome breakdown. Shout out to you for kind of bringing that to the table here. And also seeing it on screen, I think is really helpful. Like I'd appreciate lots of people choose to listen in for these segments, but just having the visuals on YouTube and on X, it was exceptionally helpful there. Appreciate you sharing all of those details. One follow-up question for me, so look, everyone wants to talk about Blast Gold, obsessed with Blast Gold at the moment, but also it seems like you're like getting ETH wins as well simultaneously. Like, how are you optimizing for? What are you optimizing for? Are you optimizing for earning gold at the moment, or are you optimizing for earning ETH?
I'm mostly optimizing for earning gold with basically as little ETH spent as I can. This is why I like plays like Kettlefy, which I didn't touch on, which Cyrus obviously has made a very viral post about buying mystery boxes for watches. And even if you pull the worst watch in the box, with the amount of gold that you just get for that, you easily offset that and you quote unquote buy gold at a very cheap rate. I don't optimize for ETH wins, but if I see one like the redacted Remilio one, and I have the bankroll to basically be able to do that trade, gamble, whatever it is, I'm also definitely going to do that. But my main priority is definitely accumulating as much blast gold as I can, which ultimately is, if you look at the ETH pump, if you look at L2's pumping with that, you could say it is a leveraged play. It's a leveraged long on ETH if you farm blast gold at a cheap rate, or the cheapest possible rate.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Sammy, did you want to come in with anything here, either a question or any comments from your strategies that you've been employing?
Yeah, I mean, they're all great protocols to be looking at. I do think that the distribution number 4 will dictate where that attention goes, because if some of these apps get nerfed in terms of gold allocation, it then becomes you then need to recalibrate your models to work out, okay, well, is this worth farming? Is there other opportunities elsewhere? And I think that leans into it, that there is a lot of opportunity, even if it is making ETH rather than Blast Gold on Blast. I know people were trading fancy top cards early on, made quite a significant amount of money. One of the Wolfsdale guys I think he was the guy that sold the legendary Pac-Man for 18.9 ETH. Literally pulled it from a pack, or pulled some from the pack and then made it and got a legendary. So there's definitely ways that you can make ETH as well as farm gold. And being early to pack, for instance, for the jackpot, like before that even became a thing, people literally accumulated it free on the timeline. So I think just being in the ecosystem and spending time to kind of get exposure and understand where these nuances in, you can actually get ahead pretty well. There's a lot of opportunity still. There's new protocols coming on all the time. And I think, as Legendary mentioned about the recent Pac-Man comment for gaming, there probably will be a raft of new games to capitalize on, and just getting an understanding of how those mechanics work on those individual gaming levels, you'll be able to find out ways to beat the system.
Yeah, I mean, I think the knowledge that you guys have shared already is pretty deep. So definitely appreciate that. Legendary, final point before we move on to Kalano's tweet and the Pudgy Penguin bet.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Sammy has mentioned to have a look at the future gold distributions. There is a fantastic tweet by ICO Beast, who's doing insane content on Blast, also touching on some of the smaller protocols, some of the opposite personally I would have missed without him. And basically what he's looking at is numbers that he has set for future gold drops, say Fantasy Top. If Fantasy Top in the next gold distribution gets more than 800K, he is bullish on that. He would basically sweep the floor for cards. If it's south of 500K, he will liquidate. And he makes the point of those thresholds for multiple protocols and what his analysis on that is. But the key takeaway is, as soon as this info is out, people will try to digest it as quickly as they can, and they will make decisions based on that. So if Fantasy Top gets significantly nerfed in the gold distribution for whatever reason, ICOBs would expect that floors would be dumped. And same for other games. And also inversely, if someone gets a massive gold distribution, he would expect way more attention to get there. So just that additional comment on the potential soon upcoming gold distribution for.
Love it. Super helpful stuff. I think that'll be really helpful with the level of detail that you've gone into. Hopefully that was useful for the people listening in, because sometimes we talk about this stuff, but we don't actually walk through the specific steps. So I think the visuals in particular, if you want to kind of rewatch that with the visuals as well, if you're getting lost in the cave in Wolf Game, or you don't know where to go in Cambria, maybe the visuals will help you out. Let's keep it moving though. Let's hit the headlines and get into Kalano's tweet. We wanted to talk about this Pudgy Penguin bet that Luca ended up coming out with. Kalano, you tweeted this earlier yesterday. You said NFTs will never reach the highs of 2021 to 22 in terms of price action. More chains, liquidity spread wider, and cheap gaming assets have already cut the average sale price by 15x from all-time high. I might be wrong, but I think we'll never see a new collection hitting a 100K floor. Luca, obviously the founder of Pudgy Penguins, replied and said, how much do you want to bet? You specifically, Kalano, but some other people thought they could get in on this action. Jez, who I believe was an investor, let's see who, I think he's an investor at Standard Crypto, which I believe backs Blur, said, I'd take the bet, Luca Nets. No new 10K collection hits 100K, or Pudgys will not. Either works for me. He asked how much that Jez wanted to bet. He said 50K, 100K, and then Shuffle, the gambling platform, which Legendary is very familiar with, also said, let us know the duration and settlement terms and we'll get a market up for you. And that seems to be what has happened. They've said market is set up, settlement terms. Pudgy Penguins will basically not get to a 100K floor. If it hits at any point before the 28th of May, 2025, Luca will win. If not, Jez wins. So that's the setup of what happened. Kalano, what were you thinking as you saw your tweet go out? You saw Luca reply and you saw all of this kind of happen off the back of it.
Yeah, so a few things, to be honest, So first of all, I want to say to all the people that got really butthurt by my post, like, I'm just a guy on the internet, right? So if you need to go and cry and call me a simp or the worst L take of the year, like, really, you need to revise your own vision of life. That is the first thing. Right? And the second thing is, I thought my tweet was written in English. So it does say no new collection will hit 100K floor price. Pudgy, by default, does not fit in that category, right? So I believe that some OG collections will have some pump and may hit 100K floor price. Pudgy is most likely one of the collections with a higher likeliness to get to that stage, right? My tweet was about no new collections that is yet to mint will hit 100K floor price. And for so many different reasons, right? Is because, like I said, the liquidity is spread across so many more chains. And, we're all saying that gaming is the next wave of mass adoption, et cetera, et cetera. And by default, that means the 10K collection trend is just going to get erased. At some point, we're going to see larger supply collections come through. And if we want mass adoption, a 10K collection with 50% holder count is absolutely microscopic in the term of developing an actual big brand. Pudgy is doing other things with the IP and all that stuff, and that's cool. I'm not against that at all. Of course, I want Pudgy to succeed like anyone in the space does, right? But I do think the mass adoption is not what the 10K collection is currently as a model. And I also think that over time, those assets are just going to be very cheap. So that is kind of like my thinking. We will probably see a couple of exceptions here and there. I'm not saying that's not possible, but I just don't think that for new collections, there is any chance of that happening, at least in this cycle. Maybe I'm wrong, and I would love to be wrong, because unlike, who is it, Nguyen, Nguyen, I forgot his first name. He said that, I'm not a believer because I rep a PFP and don't believe that can happen. But I am a believer. I'm here 24/7, like most of us. So that's kind of my thoughts on this.
I love it. I love doubling down. I don't think you got anything to apologize for as such. I find it funny when people say, well, either a criticism is not valid because of some type of profile picture that you have. That would invalidate the whole thinking. I appreciate you just doubling down, standing by your words. And I actually think you wrote it quite diplomatically. Like, you did say, I might be wrong as well. You know how some people come out and just like make really blanket statements. I thought this was fairly diplomatic. I think you've justified at least your thinking pretty clearly. I guess so. I guess your point was less. So you don't think anything new can come up and kind of get to that mantle, but do you think it could be more likely that an already established collection might still be able to get there, particularly with maybe ETH prices going the direction that they are?
Yeah, I think existing collections have a chance or shot at it, especially OG collections with some sort of provenance, being older collections in the space. Obviously, we know the punks and all that stuff have that floor price right now. And I think collection like Pudgy, who are developing a big brand, are likely to have a shot at it. But I just think over time, collection size are going to increase. We cannot, respectfully think that we're going to stay at the 10K model. That is just ludicrous. We will need to form bigger communities, which means there will be maybe potentially bigger market cap, but the average floor price, in my opinion, will just be lower. And especially with gaming coming in, we know that we're going to need hundreds of thousands of assets and all that stuff. So I think overall, that's why I think we'll have higher volume, higher transaction count, but lower average price of collection floors.
That's a good point about market cap, right? Because people are obsessed with the floor price itself, but it's not an interesting way to compare across collections because every single collection has a different number of supply. So I think that's a way bigger conversation to be had about this space, how we're completely obsessed about the floor price when the market caps are completely different. Sammy, you said you have a something to come in on here, maybe a nuanced take. Are you taking the bet?
Depends how much, but I think it depends on the definitions and the terms, because I think that I like the fact that Kalana's put it out there because it gets some discussion on the timeline.
Yeah.
I do think there are some exceptions to the rule, and I think 404s could be quite an interesting play with the liquidity. So say you had a 10K Pandora collection that's masked as, I don't know, June 404 or something else like that that's come out recently. Sure. The ability to then sell that into a fungible token or convert it into a fungible token and then switch back. Technically, there's a 10K PFP collection still, but being able to access that, so a bit like a stock split, you'd be able to have more people, more participants in there at a lower average entry on the fungible side, but the overall market cap goes up. And when you convert that back to that single NFT on the 404 NFT side, then you could potentially get to that 100K mark, and that could be a new collection. So I think it does depend. If people start taking these bets on shuffle, I think that terminology needs to be defined, because there are nuances that could throw that off.
I guarantee you those terminologies have not been defined, because you can't that would require like legal and thinking, and they seem to be spun up within like 1 hour. But Legendary, I can tell as soon as we start talking about the bet section, you are ready to go. Set up what you think about this particular bet.
Yeah, Shuffle has set up the bet as you said in the intro, and they have set up for Pudgys specifically. So it's not the part that Kalana made in his post, but they set up for Pudgys specifically.
Do you want to share the details just one more time for people?
Yeah, exactly. So if the Pudgy Penguins floor price goes above 100K USD over 24-hour TWAP, that's the time-weighted average price, at any point before the 28th of May, 2025, midnight UTC, Luca wins the bet. If that is not the case, the other person, we just can't recall their name right now, wins the bet. So they obviously only limit it to Pudgys, because if you set up a new collection, you could just not make it tradable, do a single transaction, and have your 10K PFP collection at 100K floor set up in 100 minutes, in 5 minutes, in 10 minutes, and have that manipulated. So it's only for Pudgy specifically. Cyrus also has made a great post on that, saying that you can buy 2 Pudgys for 80K right now. If they hit 100 and take the bet, if they hit 100K, you have at least 200K worth of Pudgys that you paid 180K for, because you have to pay the bet as you lost. And if they don't, then you have 2 Pudgys that you paid 80K for, and you get 100K extra from winning the bet. So it's actually an EV positive bet to take.
So we need to make this bet.
Yeah, personally, I'm happy to take the bet even without buying a Pudgy, because if I win the bet, I win the bet. And if I lose the bet because ETH goes to 10K and Pudgys are above 100K just because ETH has pumped so massively, I'm extremely happy with ETH at 10K. And if Pudgys by themselves pump to 20 plus ETH and ETH doesn't pump to 10K, then that's like my only quote unquote real downside. So even
why would you be happy if ETH pumps, but you still lost?
If ETH pumps to 10K, dude, I'm very, very happy.
But you still lost 100K.
I wouldn't take a 100K bet, and I would take a significantly smaller bet.
Okay, but your thinking is, if ETH goes to 10K, it doesn't matter if you lose bet because you're just so happy otherwise.
Exactly, Legendary's literally going in naked, like no hedging strategy at all, just
like in Cambria, no hedging on the bets. No, but actually it's a good thing to hedge the bet, especially if you maybe also add the other component to it. The shuffle has done 1 airdrop, but it's doing 2 airdrops more.
Ooh.
So potentially also could farm the shuffle airdrop by doing that on top and even maximize your EV on that.
Okay, now I'm interested. Now you're hitting a few other factors as well.
Obviously, sorry, one point to add. The negative case that Cyrus hasn't shared is there is a losing case in that bet, and that is if Pudgys like absolutely tank. Then yes, you might win the bet. But obviously you can't. If you bet 100K and you buy Pudgys for 80K, and even if Pudgys go to 0, you're still up 20K, but you're not up by a lot, so you can't lose money on it. But obviously your win could get reduced if Pudgys tank.
Interesting. Okay. Very, very interesting stuff. Definitely want to bring NFT stats into this conversation as well. I want to know what side he is on this bet. But before, Jack, you've got your hand raised. Are you taking the bet, my man? Are you betting 100K for Pudgys to go above 100K, or do you think it's going to stay under?
So Pudgy specifically, I think, yeah, definitely. I think honestly, Colano, you are so out to lunch on this bet. Like, I'm just gonna throw that out there. Like, especially if we envelop like ordinals within NFTs, because if Taproot Wizard don't hit 100K in the next 12 months, if they actually launch the collection, I would be so shocked. But also, I'm just like, I don't get this sense of, oh, NFTs are going to be down forever. Like, meme coins are having their moment right now, quite rightly. It's like a cultural, like, it's leveraging your understanding of culture in the moment and, what is going to capture attention. But in the long term, if we're bullish on blockchain, if we're bullish on Bitcoin seeing all new time highs, if we're bullish on ETH seeing all new time highs, how you can't be bullish on NFTs in terms of long term? I just don't understand. How long have we been in this space? How long have we seen these projects go? Even if you look at Web 2, I knew this would get stats hand up. I was not prepared to not come in with a bull take with all these bear MFers on stage. So come at me, stats. Come at me. But look, it's just wild. Like, gaming, we're definitely going to see absolutely rip in terms of blockchain tech. It just makes so much more sense. Like, there's just no way in the world that doesn't happen where we see a game absolutely rocket. We're going to see attention come back in. If crypto sees all-time highs, we're going to see attention come back in. Like, we're seeing small brands in Web 2 compete with big brands right now because of building in public, because of what this whole ecosystem was built upon. And the idea of NFTs don't leverage that further. The idea of blockchain tech doesn't leverage that further. I am so against this, but yeah, just a very easy bet on Taproots. If we're including ordinals in NFTs, if we're talking PFPs and they don't see 100K, like, absolutely out to lunch on this.
Fair enough. We have a bull in the house. Thanks for your take, Jack. As always, Sam, wanted to bring you into this conversation. Which side are you on this? You got a direct response there for Jack?
I'm throwing y'all a curveball, and I'm agreeing with Jack.
Holy fuck! This is the best day of my life. This is literally. Oh my god! I'm putting
Clip
all
it,
of
clip
these
it, Jack.
people.
Clip it.
Go for it, Sam.
No, I mean, I think for me, the market and crypto Twitter has a very common tendency to extrapolate the past 3 to 6 month price performance to the future.
Yes.
And something goes down and everyone dunks on everybody who bought it before, says, oh, you're mad you lost money. Well, you're the one who bought a cartoon monkey for 300K. So, but now people are spending 40K for a cartoon penguin. Like, it's not like this stuff is still happening. And I was just in a lot. I was never like a huge Bored Ape Bull, but I was in the discords when people were obsessed with Bored Apes, with a bunch of guys who like literally couldn't sleep at night because they wanted to buy a Bored Ape. And I was like, this is kind of like normal economic, like collectible behavior. Like the way people started to, and the FOMO and the Veblen Good impact where things pumped higher, and crypto punks right now are worth over 130 grand. Like, so I don't know. I'm just like, what I saw during that period, I can definitely see resurfacing at some point in the future. And I think to say that what we saw there, where people like really started to feel real connection with digital collectibles, and like that's never going to happen again. I'm just like, no, like that just feels like an extrapolation of the past 6 months towards eternity, which I don't know. What I think what happened in that period was like, yeah, and I'm like not a big, like, I mean, as you guys know, I'm not like the permabull. I'm not, but I thought something interesting was happening there in the world of collectibles becoming digital, and I would definitely not say that because we've kind of gone the other direction recently. If I were to say one piece I disagree with, it's this. I think current collections are less likely. I kind of think that it's new stuff. Yeah, like I said, like I always talk about how NFTs are a bit like nightclubs. Like they're hot for a while and then they're not, and and they're not, like it's hard to resurface, I think, something that's kind of gone up and faded. That said, like why someone would bet against the founder of a project who has completely outsized information relative to the other person on the bet, that feels off to me. Like I was like, that did not seem like a smart bet, just because clearly the founder knows things that the person on the other side doesn't, and that is not even, and the person on the other side should know that. But anyways, yeah, like I said, I think it'd been very easy a while ago to say that no meme coin would ever pump again, and here we have Pepe at three, whatever it is, $7 billion. So I found the human gambling behavior, I thought what was happening in that period was very repeatable. I would not, and I don't think the fact that they're down bad now means I would not extrapolate that eternity.
Love it. That's a very, very good point about the lack of information on one side of the bet versus the outsized level of information on the other side. I don't, just to like not legally clarify, but Luca did share a screenshot of, I think, him asking someone in the team, whether it's a lawyer or someone, just like, am I actually allowed to make this bet? So I don't think that bet has been made yet. I know it's been set up for people to try to participate. But we'll keep an eye out and we'll report properly. But just for
I got no issue with Luca doing it, and I'm the guy who's talking about insider information all the time. But the other guy knows that Luca has insider information. I mean, like, there's no secrets there. What's he doing?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, actually. What did you think about the hedging strategy, though, Sam?
Which one? The Cyrus is, if you want to make this bet, you don't need Luca. You can just buy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you don't need the other guy. You can just buy 2 penguins, and and you get a better return than if you just. I mean, I don't know. It's sure. I think the maths. So if someone is like, damn, I wish I could bet 100 grand on Pudgy's going to 100 grand. Well, they're at 40 grand. I don't think, I love Cyrus. I think he's the most, no offense to everyone here, he's the person who I think has impressed me consistently at absolute, like, most of anyone in this space. Like, he's constantly coming up with wins. He goes from being the expert on Bored Apes to now he has the alpha on back. Like, he's winning IKB every fucking day. Like, that dude just, like, whatever he's gambling on, he has insight into. I don't, but yeah, clearly if you think Pudgys are going to 100,000, then buy a Pudgy. They're 40,000. Like,
yeah. Excellent insight. And as you say, shout out to Cyrus, absolutely crushing every vertical that he ends up going into. Want to give a quick, we got to move on. We got to hit the final headline, to be honest. But Andrew, your hand's raised as a Pudgy holder. Quick take from you, please. What's your headline thought here? Take the bet or not?
Yeah, I'll take the bird. I will take the bird. I'll take the fat burb. Obviously, pun intended, very biased, but I will take it. I came up here really quickly to defend my friend, Jack. I don't think my friend Kalano's out to lunch. I just think Kalano knows if you're a really shitty take, it goes viral on Twitter. That's what he did. And that's what we're seeing now. Sorry, Kalano, man.
Okay, so your defense is that he had a really shitty take. That's good defending there. Good looking out.
Yep. Strategic.
Premeditated, yep.
Strategic drafting, as a great writer should always be capable of. So shout out to Kalano for getting us talking about this in the last few minutes. Right, we got not very long left for today's show. We do want to touch on, I don't know, a concerning trend, an exciting trend. I don't really know how to precisely frame it. I want to hear people's perspectives in just a little bit. But before we do that, quick Web3 roundup to get you up to speed with everything else that's happening in the space. Number one, this is from the snapshot, of course, up top. Phantom Wallet becomes #1 finance app in the US. Number 2, OSF releases Packed Rect version 2 as a free mint in honor of Pac Moon version 2. OSF just crushing it on Blast over and over again. Ordinal's price action continues to trend down. Puppets approaching 0.1 Bitcoin, Monkeys at 0.2. Next, Aptos surpasses Solana's daily transactions. I'm a little bit skeptical about some of these numbers sometimes, but that's what was reported. Next final bits of news. Ledger announces high-end Stacks hardware wallet is ready for pre-orders. Yuga Labs announces the Nina Chanel Superpunk World airdrop will take place on Thursday this week. Remember, that's now only for Nina Chanel holders. That's going to go directly to them. And finally, Argentina and El Salvador hold talks to discuss Bitcoin as legal tender. That's always interesting to see people kind of expanding their horizons when it comes to Bitcoin. Right, final headline. We don't have very long left. We had the Caitlyn Jenner stuff going on yesterday or the day before. First, I think I reported it as a scam yesterday. Then it turns out it wasn't a scam. Is it a scam? It's not a scam. I don't really know. But then today, Iggy Azalea is tweeting about Solana. And I don't know, is this going to be some type of trend? We had Thread Guy write this tweet earlier. Maybe we want to come to Legendary. Haven't heard from you in a sec. So maybe a quick take on this. He said, crazy, I grew up idolizing rappers and celebrities that are clinging to crypto for an ounce of profit and credibility while they slowly bleed into irrelevancy while we laugh at them and gamble on hamster races. Shit changes fast. Obviously a intentionally spicy take from Thread there. But what are your thoughts here, Legendary? Like, do you think it's strange that all of these IRL celebs, influencers want to penetrate crypto and launch these coins as a way to monetize? Like, what's your thinking here?
Spicy answer. We see influencers within the Web3 space, KOLs, launching their own meme coins, monetizing on their content, some in a transparent, some in a very shady way, some promoting every shit project that they can get under their fingers and quote posting, bull posting about everything that pays them money. So if we see that behavior like within our space, why shouldn't monetizing happen outside of our space? And if you are a celebrity, an influencer, you have your personal brand, there's obviously way more ways to monetize about that than the music that you're doing or the movies that you're shooting. I mean, every celebrity is absolutely an exaggeration. It's a stupid thing to say. A lot of celebrities, a lot of Hollywood actors and actresses have their own tequila, vodka brands and other things. And they have agencies that they work with. This is just another venue for them to monetize. And this is trending. I mean, tequila was trending, vodka was trending. So we did that. Now crypto is trending and this is how they see it. So they're here and are trying to make additional income from that. Whether that's good or bad, it just is.
It just is. Okay. Yeah. Interesting take. We don't have much time left. Funky, your hand's raised. Is this something we're going to see more? Is this just like an additional stream of income for traditional celebrities?
GM fam. Yeah, I mean, I like the spin that Legendary put on it because I was going to come up here and give a heartbreaking story about how, you guys, I'm older. I love the golden age of hip hop, and Big Daddy King was out here trying to get people to pay him to put out their tweets on NFTs, and I didn't know what to make of that. So I like the spin that Legendary gave it. So big love.
Love it, man. Sam, you've got your hand raised. What are your thoughts here?
I just read his tweet, and I think he is crazy. Look, we've always had a lot of these guys come in and try to monetize the latest trend. We saw with NFTs. Now, obviously, meme coins are hot, but for him to say S tier guys like the LeBrons of the world, no, it's like the washed up people who do this. This is purely washed up. Careers down the drain, can't make money anymore, got to find new income streams. Okay, let's go into this. The idea that LeBron or any of these guys are going to go create a token that's going to go, Drake, that's going to pump and dump, and people are going to lose money, and they're out there making $100 million from Nike every year without needing to do this in sustainable revenue, where you don't have retail kind of paying your bag and then losing it. Yeah, I think he's out to lunch.
Yeah.
If we talk meme coins, yes. If we talk other things, you still have Cristiano Ronaldo doing his 4th NFT collection, certainly doesn't need the additional money, and has a $1 billion lawsuit for NFT collections still pending. So
exactly. So you had examples of, you're right. I mean, that's a good point, that it's not just washed up people doing this. It's not just Dennis Rodman or whoever doing it. But yeah, the fact that Ronaldo has a $1 billion lawsuit, if ever there was a red flag to people who have great careers not to fuck with it, I'd say that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There's something about the coin, like the NFT, you can maybe set up some parameters and be like, look, if you buy this thing, you will get X, Y, and Z. Whereas like the coin is just so wild. It's so out of control. And I can see how that's like a whole different basket. So maybe there has to be some kind of distinguishing factors between like people launching collections with attached utility versus letting a coin out into the wild, letting your fans buy it, and then they're just at the mercy of whoever's kind of holding those coins. But look, we're going to monitor that trend. It could be something that sticks around with us. Haven't really got a chance to reflect on what that means for where we are in the cycle right now, but maybe we'll do some thinking on that, and we'll keep the discussion going another day, because we have run out of time for today's show. Appreciate you had your hand up, Jack, but we'll have to circle back another time now because we're over time. But we hope you enjoyed it. As always, we do this every single day, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern time, 12 p.m. BST, every day of the week. Kalano, special guest today. Thanks so much for joining us, my man. What can we expect from what other spicy take can we expect to get the people going in the next few days?
More of the same, but I'm just going to embrace my cook's arc and work on it a little bit more. So just, I guess just follow me. That is the only shit I can make for myself right now. But, I would just say in 24 hours, Luca and he went from who the fuck is that guy to fuck that guy. So that is a good evolution in my Kalano's arc.
There you go. Absolutely love that phrase. Give Kalano a follow. Awesome written content, awesome video content now too. Appreciate you for joining us up top today, my man. And thank you so much, as always, to my legendary co-hosts, Legendary and Sammy. Thank you to our other contributors, NFT Stats, Andrew, Kalano, Jack, and Oxy and Funky up on stage. Have a wonderful day, friends. We hope you have a great day. Take care, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.